You guys love making my life difficult, don't you? This week I had this whole great plan where I was going to explain why, in horror movies, particularly slashers, the protagonist is usually a woman. This is a concept known as the final girl, but it's something we're going to have to get into a different time because this movie doesn't really do that at all. Instead, we all voted for She Dies Tomorrow, a weird art house film that not only wasn't scary, but also made us use our brains. God damn it. A while ago on this channel, I gave my interpretation of David Lynch's Netflix short, What Did Jack Do?, and was met with a fair bit of criticism. The complaint I gave the most credence to was the fact that I was trying to sort of logic my way through the movie, when in reality I should have just been feeling it, you know? Feeling it, man. I think She Dies Tomorrow and What Did Jack Do have a lot in common, particularly because they're both art house films that leave a lot of room for audience interpretation. For some reason, that early video on David Lynch is my most watched video on this channel. The algorithm loves to watch me suffer, so if you're interested in watching that, you can find it somewhere, but go easy on me. So for She Dies Tomorrow, I think I'm just gonna feel it, man. Give you some of my reactions and go into a little bit of research that I did. So I've watched the movie twice now, and let me be the first to say that the second time is just as unpleasant. The movie follows a group of people who are spreading a contagious idea that they are going to die tomorrow.
Die tomorrow. I'm gonna die tomorrow.
I'm going to die tomorrow.
The movie doesn't focus on what's going on or where the idea came from, but mainly on the human responses to mortality. The film reflects director Amy Seymour's own anxieties about dying. To her, the human avoidance of this topic is almost confusing. With this premise, she forces her characters to contemplate death by making it an event that is definitely occurring tomorrow. There's a subtle hint of humor to it as well. Moments of internal exaggerated melodrama become comical when we look at it from an external source. There's moments in slow-mo close-ups with swelling music to reflect what's going on in the character's head, and then, without warning, we'll abruptly cut to a wider shot at regular speed with only the natural sounds of the scene. The audience takes the role of an unbiased observer, and it's kinda hilarious watching someone depressively stare into the void. The sudden swelling and stopping of music also emulates life and death in a way. Life is a cosmically short yet powerful moment that is filled with experience, which ends abruptly, quite like it started. We didn't ask for it to start, and we often have no say in how it ends. There's also a hidden significance in the song choice of Lacrimosa, or Requiem by Mozart. He wrote that song in 1791, which was the same year he died, and the song was incomplete. His widow said that Mozart was going a little crazy while writing it and actually thought that it would be the song that would be played at his funeral. Lacrimosa is also a perfect song choice because another major theme of the movie is this sense of incompletion. Our de facto main character, named Amy, who is also definitely a stand-in for the director, is moving into a new home. In a few shots, we visually hone in on things that she has yet to finish. There's a room that's half wallpapered, and her house is literally filled with unpacked boxes. It's not just her, though. Later on, we see Brian complete some unfinished business by pulling the plug on his father, who had a stroke months ago. And later, Susan decides to open her presents to get that sense of completion.
Should I open my presents?
Yeah.
It's as though the characters feel obligated to the unfinished business that they have assigned themselves. This sense of completion is craved by different characters in different ways, but one pretty major one that we keep coming back to is that of romantic relationships or connections.
I just wanted to connect to someone. Or something.
There's also a hint of sexuality to it. Many people cannot and will not feel completely fulfilled without a romantic relationship. Our brains are sort of hardwired to find and form these connections so that we can procreate. And sexuality, I guess, is just then our link to immortality. Chronologically speaking, the story starts off when Amy wakes up and finds her dead boyfriend, Craig. Through flashbacks, we learn that they had a pretty strong blossoming connection. Later on, well after Craig has already died, Amy spreads the idea to the random dune buggy guy. And while they're contemplating it, they have a sudden urge to make out.
You wanna make out?
Okay.
We can't do this right now.
The very next scene after that dune buggy makeout, we find Jane in the hospital, who's speaking to her doctor. She spreads the idea to the doctor, and he starts having a mental breakdown, for lack of a better word.
My mother always used to hum to me. Would you hum something for me? Yes, yes.
Like that?
Yes, exactly.
I need to go be with my wife.
The Sigmund Freud in me was a little interested that he was thinking about his mom and then almost had sex with Jane. What I'm getting at is that sex and romantic bonds are an integral part of the human experience, and we can rely on them to feel comforted in our moments before death. I also found it interesting that both of the men in these close-knit scenes were the ones that denied sex. I sort of read that as them both seeking or wanting the womanly comfort of a mother and not necessarily a partner. Sort of like a soldier before he dies. I could definitely be wrong about that though, so let me know in the comment section why you think that happened. I think that would be a pretty cool discussion to have. Amy's weird desire to be turned into a leather coat could also be read as her seeking immortality, where she can't form a romantic connection and have a kid in such a short period of time.
Tell me I'll take care of it.
Nobody is turning you into a leather jacket. You're not making sense. You're not thinking straight because you are loaded.
That also could be the reason why now, at the end of her life, the memory of her abortion sticks out.
I terminated a pregnancy when I was 22.
But I digress. The last idea that I think the film is trying to highlight is that there's a certain liberty and truth to death. We can get a glimpse of this through the dialogue surrounding the dinner party.
Can you come over?
I can't. I'm supposed to go to my sister-in-law's birthday party, but I really don't want to go. I just really want to stay at home because she fucking hates me.
Originally, Jane outright rejected her brother's invitation because she doesn't get along with his wife, Susan. This tells us that Jane, rather than be herself around Susan, prefers to either avoid them or put up a facade. This dinner party might actually be the first time that Jane is being her true self and not really caring about the implications of that.
I don't know. I just know.
So you know it or you don't know it?
Well, I know that I don't know. I'm dying.
I heard you. Okay, you are doing what you always do, which is making everything about you. Only reason I tolerate you is to make Jason happy.
Instead of taking anything Susan is saying to heart and shying away from who she is or feeling unwelcome, she just continues acting in a way that is most truthful to her.
I just thought for a second when the lights went out that that was it. Do you know? Is that it?
She references philosopher Albert Camus and his quote, "Man is the only creature who refuses to be what he is."
Humans are the only animal or creature that pretends to be what it's not. Albert Camus said that, I think. I Googled it.
Similarly, later on, there's a direct frankness to the conversations of Brian and Tilly about their dying relationship.
I was waiting for him to die to break up with you. I mean, I was gonna give it 3 months. I didn't want to be an asshole.
You weren't gonna last anyway.
So clearly we have a lot of similar ideas and human behaviors that we keep coming back to in this movie. And that's part of the reason I dislike it. It seems too highly focused on the director's own personal viewpoint, and it's imposed on too many different characters. In this movie, you have like 5 to 6 characters that are pretty much blank slates that all come to terms with death in a similar fashion. Doesn't anyone want to just like, I don't know, like go skydiving or like jump in a river or get a dog or I don't know, is everyone so existential about this shit? For a movie that seems highly fixated on human reactions toward mortality, it doesn't really seem representative of the differences in human thought. Also, it was kind of boring and didn't really have a hero's journey and shit like that. So I gave it a 9 out of 15. What did you think of She Dies Tomorrow? Let me know in the comments section. Thus completes Women's History Month. I hope you all enjoyed it and maybe watched a movie that you wouldn't normally watch. Luckily, we have April coming up, and I did a quick Google search to see what that month celebrates. And I have a nice list here, including... That's not real, right? I didn't know losers had a whole month to themselves. Can you fucking imagine if I fucking did that? Jesus Christ. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully I'll see you next week.